Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Rokab Kadash. Double honors to the elders of GMS who rule well. Peace and salutation to the Lord Akim on the four corners, pushing his truth and sincerity. Peace be unto you. This is a video I want to do about vaping. Heathenistic customs.
All right, we have been talking about the dangers of vaping all week, and almost every day we find out more people have developed lung issues from e-cigarettes. Matt Howardson asked vapers, is it time to kick the habit?
Other way, this one.
Yeah.
They have the full attention.
So this is God Nectar, Johnny's Cream Puff Blueberry, this is Aqua Pure.
Of the CDC, FDA, and our state health department. Yes, vaping is now front and center in America after an Illinois adult became possibly the first person to die from a severe lung illness connected to e-cigs. And so far, 193 cases of severe lung illness have been linked to vaping in 22 states since June. Patients range from teens to young adults. In each case, patients had difficulty breathing, chest pains, fatigue, and some were vomiting before hospitalization. And the FDA is now testing vape products sick patients used to see if there's a common link.
Does this stuff scare you at all? No, not necessarily.
McLean Hirsch has been vaping for 4 years.
You work at a vape shop.
He welcomes all the health attention e-cigs are getting, but wonders if any of those sick patients had pre-existing health issues, vaped too much, or inhaled THC, which in many states, like Texas, is illegal and not regulated. The CDC couldn't definitively answer those questions in a media conference call today. If you ask Hirsch,
It's more of a regulation problem of the user, I feel, more than necessarily the vape itself.
in Texas, 9 severe lung illness cases have been linked to vaping, and the state is asking anyone with a sudden, unexplainable lung illness to record everything about it. They even want folks to save their e-cig for possible testing by the FDA. So right now, there's a big question of what's really in these things. But for Hirsch, it's pretty simple.
All these bottles have nicotine warnings, pregnancy warnings. They have warnings. If you're vaping it, you're taking the risk.
In Fort Worth, I'm Matt Howard.
And checking with school districts to find out if they've caught any students with e-cigs since school started. Denton Geyer says officials confiscated a vaping device on Wednesday and turned it over to Denton police. They're testing the liquid to determine if it's nicotine-based or if it contains THC. But everything changes a little over a week from now. Starting September 1st, you have to be 21 years old to buy e-cigarettes instead of 18. It's part of a new smoking age law that lawmakers passed in the last legislative session. Young adults serving in the military and those who are already older than 18, well, they'll be exempt from the new rule.
More, Megan.
So this is talking about the dangers of smoking e-cigarettes. Now, these are customs that are heathenistic customs, all the way back from smoking all the way to, other practices that are practiced by the heathens. Now, the Most High gave us specific instructions that, what we're, allowed to do, what we're not allowed to do. And one of the things is that, as far as in Genesis, in the beginning, what he told Adam, he said, for every herb, bearing seed, shall be for meat for the, see if I can grab this. This is Genesis 1 and verse 29. It says, and God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. So the herbs that God put on this earth, they're meant to be consumed, but they're not meant to be smoked. It said it to be for meat. Meat is something that you eat, so stuff like that, when you actually ended up smoking and inhaling and stuff like that, this is not the intended purposes that God put it on. It's not for recreational. It's for, healing properties. For instance, you have here in North America, or we call America, or Babylon the Great, you got all types of, plants, herbs, and basins. Some of them are healthy, and some of them you can't deny, but the thing is that there's a way to consume it, and there's a right way and then there's a wrong way. Even with, killing animals, you don't eat eyeballs and stuff like that. You don't eat, pig testicles and stuff like that. There's a regulation to this, and that's what separates us from the heathen, is because we have laws and statutes and commandments of what to follow and what not to follow. The heathen are the ones that are basically outlaws that can able to do whatever they want to do. This is Psalms chapter 119 and verse verse 98. Thou through thy commandments hast made me wiser than my enemies, for they are ever with me. I have more understanding than all my teachers, for thy testimonies are my meditations. I understand more than the ancients, because I kept thy precepts. And the precepts and the commandments are written in the Old Testament. This is Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 6. Matter of fact, verse 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahweh my Elohim commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great, who hath God so nigh unto him, as Yahweh our Elohim is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is so great that hath statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law, which I set before you this day? And the nations are amazed, because this is actually what keeps us bound together, is unity. How do you create laws, to govern, a place? You look back in ancient China, it was always separated in different warrior tribes and different clans. Ammon, the Japanese were separated like that. And even to this day, you got, tribes that are, separated, about, because, God didn't give them laws, statutes and commandments to follow, and this is what makes our nation such beautiful. Verse 9, it says, only take heed to thyself and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen, and lest they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life. But teach them thy sons and thy sons' sons, especially the day that thou stoodest before Yahweh thy Elohim in Horeb, when Yahweh said unto me, gather me the people together, I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they shall live upon the earth, and that they may teach their children. And ye came near and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire unto the midst of heaven, and darkness, clouds, and thick darkness. Verse 12, and Yahweh spake unto you out of the midst of the fire. Ye heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude, only ye heard a voice. And he declared unto his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments, and he wrote them upon the 2 tables of stone. And Yahweh commanded me at the time to teach you statutes and judgments, that ye might do them in the land whither ye go to possess it. And, smoking and vaping is not one of them. That's it. As you can see, it had health issues, and a guy was trying to say, oh, it's not how you, it's more so pre-existent. Like, you can't make that determination. They weren't, it it wasn't talking about a spiking of it before. So there has to be some correlation. Why they trying to study it? On that note, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Kadash. Double honors to the elders GMS who were well. Peace, salutations, and shalom.